Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pretty excited for this one. You know, I have guests and I have people to talk to, but today I got someone pretty cool on the show. This is pretty sweet. All right, you may know about him. In fact, I know some of you do because when I mentioned this the other day, a couple people in chat were like, "Oh shit!" And then of course Connor was like, "I gotta work no," which he actually tuned in, and then he was like, "All right, I gotta go to work now." So Connor will miss you, and I'm sure you'll be watching this whenever you return back. But what am I doing? I'm wasting time here. Let's bring him on the show. This is the native patriot, Maurice. Welcome to the channel, Maurice. How are you, sir?
I'm doing quite well, and thanks for having me on, man. I know we've been discussing this for quite a while, and our
Yeah,
schedules have clashed, and it's been like put off for a while, but I'm happy to finally be on.
you're here. You're here. Yeah, it is a long time coming. I feel because we've been mutuals on X for quite some time, and it's actually getting kind of it rolls off X. I used to be split, say Twitter, X, whatever, but I've been just rolling with X nowadays. How's that feel?
Yeah, I actually agree with you that it's getting more comfortable, but I still say tweets. I don't know what to call the posts. Are
Okay,
they X posts?
posts.
Like I still always say tweets, so
You know what? You
I
know
think
what?
that's stuck.
Elon Musk talked about this. Oh man, I don't remember when this was months ago. Someone was asking him about this specific thing, tweets and whatever, and he was like, people are posting videos, people are live streaming, and you don't tweet a live stream. We're actually live streaming on X right now as well. But is it a tweet? Are you tweeting out a video or are you going posting makes more sense. But I do understand what you mean though. I mean, it's been tweets for shit. How long? How old is Twitter? 20 years? When did Twitter? 2008 or something? I don't remember exactly when it
Yeah,
started, but
around that time.
yeah. But we've been mutuals for a while. I see the things that you talk about. You actually, man, you've been through a lot yourself, and you've posted some personal moments. Some things that you went through with your wife, and like I just, I feel like I know you, and I really appreciate your takes on a lot of things. So I'm really happy to have you on the show, and so thank you. So
Yeah,
let's
man.
let's start. I kind of someone actually commented in chat. It's 25 years old. Wow, X Twitter is a long time. Okay, so someone posted, and I'm actually going to read the post because I wasn't going to go here, and I know I mentioned it, but someone said, if you think this person is a real patriot, which I do because I've seen your posts and I hear how you talk about things. I said, I'm sure if something happened, his tribe he would gladly throw away the American patriotism to defend his own people. And I just want to hear your response to that because I do feel like that's a very fascinating because people are talking about dual citizenships with like the Israel whole conversation. People are upset that there's a lot of people in Congress that have dual citizenships, and um, I guess it kind of can be the same ish. Although I feel like Native Americans are, if anything, more Americans. Or I don't know, because I'm American. I feel like how can you be more American than someone else, right? I guess if you're waving a Mexican flag in LA right now, you
Yeah,
know what I
well,
mean?
that's pretty easy to beat. But
True.
I've actually gotten questions like this often. But once you follow me for a short amount of time, you kind of realize that my allegiance is to the American people. And so when he says that I'd be willing to throw away this patriotism for my people, the it, he actually misunderstands like what I like when I say my people, I'm talking about my fellow countrymen, my patriots, regardless of skin color, regardless of heritage. One
Boom.
of the lessons that actually was passed on from Native Americans to America in general was the fact that you could do something honorable for a tribe and become a tribal member, and you didn't have to be blood related to anybody, but if you did something honorable and they accepted you into the tribe, you were a full-fledged tribe member. You weren't half a tribe member. You didn't get like any kind of half-ass treatment in that way. No, and you just were an equal amongst them.
Yeah.
And that's how America is supposed to be, or at least that's the way I see it, is that once you're an American, you are an equal. So my people are my fellow countrymen. In a lot of ways, it's the working class is what I relate to the most, because
Yeah.
that's who I've been associating with, and that's who I've seen to be the most patriotic people behind the scenes, working daily to keep our this entire country rolling. And I guess maybe I'm a little biased because I take part in that. My daily job is changing industrial tires. You know, I'll go
Yeah.
out on road calls at 2 o'clock in the morning on the side of the freeway, changing tires. And so when I drive over a bridge that I never took part building, or when I drink clean water from a well I never dug, I know that it takes a lot of work in order to maintain our infrastructure, and it is an absolute miracle that all of these things work.
Yep.
And so I try to appreciate the people behind the scenes that do that. So when he says my people, it's like, it's like my tribe, it's the Swinomish people up here in the Pacific Northwest. That's my blood tribe. And I've had
Say it
people
again.
ask me this, Swinomish,
Swimminish. Okay. Cool.
Swinomish.
Swinomish.
Yeah. Yes.
Swinomish. Okay.
Swinomish. Yeah. Yeah,
Swinamish. Cool. I've
there's
never
a
heard
lot
of
of
them.
funky names up here. Yeah, it's a fairly small tribe, but
Cool.
I'm actually not even enrolled in the tribe, and so I'll get flack from both
Really?
sides. There are people like that who will say that I'm willing to give up my patriotism for my tribe, but then the natives on the res, they'll say that I'm not native enough because I'm not a card carrying member. Now
Okay.
the reason I'm not a card carrying member is because
Sure. Politics. There's politics or something.
yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like my dad's enrolled, my half brother's enrolled, my half sister's enrolled because they grew up on the reservation. In order to enroll in my tribe, you have to live on the reservation for 5 years. And I'm not doing that. My
Yeah.
no way. There's a lot of problems that I call out on the reservation because I saw what they did to my family that lived on the reservation. My dad, my biological father, he
Hmm.
left when I was 3 and went off to the reservation, and he did drugs, and they enabled his drug use for 20 years. And they would give
Wow.
him free methadone in between fixes, and they didn't actually do anything to help him. So the free medical that they get on the reservation, it enabled his drug use. They never cared. There's gang problems, there's drug problems. They don't actually care about fixing any of that stuff. They just enable it. So there's so many problems that I see up with them. It's like the tribal elders, it's just a mini government, right? That's
Yeah.
all it is. It's as prone to corruption, almost more, because they get like special treatment, right? And they can get a lot of money from the casinos and special grants from the federal government. So it's as prone to corruption as any other government. And from what I've seen in my entire life, is the corruption just go out. And I haven't spoke to my half brother in over a decade. Well, actually, it's been about a
Wow.
decade now, because he's been in and out of jail, gang problems, drug problems, and I'm not going to take part in that. So it's
Yeah.
unfortunate, but yeah. So my people are people like you, Adam. I don't see. It sounds so cliche,
I
but it's like I
I
I
don't
don't
see
see
color.
skin color, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
yeah. It's one of those things.
It sucks that it's cliche now because people almost don't believe it anyway. It's not even cliche. It's that most of the people that are claiming it either don't believe it or they're just virtue signaling. Because I mean, people like you that say it, I believe you, right? But it's not. Oh man, it's such a. The reason why it's cliche, the reason why is because there's so many people that act like um that's the way it should be, and then they go on and judge everyone by their skin color. Those are the ones who are the ones judging the most, and
Mhm.
likely I'm talking about like the leftist in the world, or the ones that are claiming saying you can't, if you're colorblind, that means you're innately racist, because then you're not treating, because of course they see a black person and they say, oh well, we got to treat them a certain way because their ancestors were slaves, and it's like, I mean, If you go back
Everybody's
far enough,
ancestors were slaves.
if you go back far enough, exactly. Everyone was, and there, of course, there's more slaves now than there has been. It maybe in human history. It's like some like 50 million or something worldwide, which I don't see those people complaining about that.
No,
So
it's really sad. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I enjoy jokes about racial stereotypes and
sure,
like poking fun at each other in a way where you would banter back and forth with a buddy.
yeah.
I'll do that with skin color. Like I don't have any problem with that. I grew up in a
Your
really
Caucasian
really
shirt is fantastic.
oh yeah.
It
Oh,
doesn't
you do?
offend me.
Yeah, I hope not. And I mean,
No,
that's one of the big things that I preach is trying to like it's okay to talk about it. You don't have to be
yeah,
colorblind so much so that you don't see like you can't bring up skin color. No, it's
yeah,
that you don't factor that into whether or not they're a good person because skin
correct.
color is an inherent trait. You can't change that. You didn't decide it. You can't change it.
Yep.
There's nothing you can do. What
Boom.
you can do is
Be a
choose
good
to be a
person.
good person or not.
Yeah.
That's what you'll be judged by.
And judge others on their character instead of their
Yes.
skin color. And I don't think
It's
a lot of
weird.
people are capable of differentiating the two. So they hear you say that, they're like, oh well, this guy's obviously a racist, because he's aware of the skin color, but isn't actually. I honestly, that doesn't even make sense. These people, man, it's been 5 years of like doing this, so I'm sure you're online a lot as well, and you have a podcast. You talk about the goings of the world, so you see it. It's
Mhm.
also tiresome.
It is, but well, I would say that so one of the reasons why my name on X is Native Patriot is
Okay.
because it actually gives me an edge over lefties and people that argue about race. And
Ah,
for one, it draws out the ones who are actually racist and who are like, you're a disgrace to your ancestors. And it's like,
thank you,
you
white
know,
person, or
yeah.
whatever.
Oh, dude, I've gotten so many like that. I got called an apple. Do you know what an apple is?
No, I've never heard this.
Red on the outside, white on the inside.
Ah, okay. Yes,
Yeah,
I should have
fighting
seen
for the
that coming.
colonizers,
Okay. Hey, the redder the apple, the sweeter. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I
Hey,
I
hey,
tried. It was.
that's just
Oh
it's just a way
wow,
to
an
try and
apple.
insult. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm $5 Indian.
I
I mean,
love
there's
apples. Apples are amazing. I got 5 apple trees on my property. Yeah, I do. I
see,
love apples.
well,
They're so
that's the
good.
way to go, man. Is
Yeah,
growing your own food. Well, actually, I don't eat
it's
vegetables or
tough.
or anything like that. So
You don't eat vegetables?
no.
No, like you don't even like corn on the cob. Yeah. What about corn? I thought Indians love corn. No, I tried.
No, I just
I love corn. I'm a big fan.
I tried the carnivore diet last year and I lost like 35 pounds in a matter of
Okay.
like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And it cured I had osteoarthritis in both my hips. I was
Oh wow.
struggling to like walk. It was getting to the point where like if we went to the fair, I bought a cane and I was like using it. I felt like an old man because I
How old are
couldn't
you?
like walk around. 33.
What?
Yeah.
33 with that much issues with your hips. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was
But it's
getting so
gone?
bad like it's completely gone. It disappeared
Wow.
within 2 weeks of going on the carnivore diet because it just turns out that it's like inflammation caused um, from whatever food that I was eating before that would just inflame my hips, and it just got to the point where like
Wow.
it was relentless pain that I mean it stopped me from doing basic activities. And after I went on the carnivore diet, I lost in the first 2 weeks. I lost 15 pounds. The pain in my hips disappeared completely. I could run around with my son in the backyard playing football again, and the pain hasn't come back at all.
That's amazing.
It's been almost a year now, and I'm
Wow.
like 80% on the carnivore diet. I cheat all the time now, but I mostly
But your
still
main
eat meat.
meals.
Yeah, it's steak.
Okay. Steak. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Steak and hamburger, and
You know,
lots
I
lots of
think
water.
nutrition is such an interesting thing because people always I was vegan for a little while. I'm not anymore. I eat meat now. And I didn't feel like and a lot of people made fun of vegans and I like didn't care. Everyone's like, "Oh, how do you know a vegan's a vegan?" They'll tell you. And it's like I never like talking about it because I think nutrition is a personal thing, right? It's like everyone's different. And I think the carnivore diet has merit, and it has proven itself multiple times with multiple people around, like Michaela Peterson, right? She had
Yeah.
insane issues with blood disorders or whatever, and like she's seemingly fine now. And I think Jordan Peterson's also now on the carnivore diet, and I feel a lot better now that I'm eating meat again. And I think that it was just because I was missing certain nutrition, and I'm almost tempted to try the carnivore diet. But it's not that I'm having any issues that I have to think about, but yeah, mom, you don't talk about it either, even though you have a big huge giant tattoo on your skull that says vegan. Just saying. Yeah, she does, she's got vegan tattooed on her skull.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, love you, mom. No, but I think it's very interesting how it's almost tribal, these people that like are, some people will just rip anyone apart for being different. But it's fascinating, this carnivore diet and how much it works. I think everyone needs to just find out their own balance, and that's the key, finding a good balance between exercise and food intake. And I think most people just aren't very good at doing that, finding a balance.
Yeah, I mean, my wife, she doesn't really exercise. She does like mom stuff, right?
Yeah,
She'll clean
yeah.
the house, and she, like she'll go outside with the dogs and the kids and stuff, but she doesn't like go to a gym and exercise. So she changed nothing about her daily habits, and she
Mhm.
also lost over 30 pounds. And a
Wow.
lot of it was like inflammation. So I don't think a lot of
She's
it's
also
like,
on the
yeah,
carnivore
yeah.
diet.
Oh, yeah, she cooks
That's
everything. Like,
Oh, okay, okay. Nice.
yeah, like I couldn't do the carnivore diet if it wasn't for my wife, because
Taste.
it's a lot of, like, you have to cook every meal, right? You can't just
Of course.
stop at a gas station and like have it be carnivore friendly. Um,
True.
so she makes every meal the night before, like, because I'll sometimes, well, not as much anymore, but I used to have like 16-hour days where I'd go out, and so she'd make like two big meals, steak and over a pound of hamburger and eggs mixed up. So it was just, I'm not sure if we know all that much about nutrition and how it affects our body. Like, growing up, I assumed that, like, I was taught that like we knew everything. This is the food pyramid. This is how it affects your body. This is what you're supposed to eat.
Hmm.
And
Trust the
I never,
science.
yeah, yes, yeah. And then I learned about the carnivore diet, and I put off going on it for a couple of years, and it was 2022. I went sober. I stopped smoking. I stopped drinking, and I just wanted to see like if it was going to fix my hips, because I was like, something's affecting, like, I'm too young to feel this old,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I I didn't even think the carnivore diet was going to fix that. It was just
Yeah.
like, it just all of a sudden my hips stopped hurting. I could sit normally. I could walk. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then so
Yeah.
I started, like, looking more into it and figuring out, like, okay, it's not necessarily the food that we've been given, it's the additives that are in there that affect your body
Facts.
so negatively. And that's
Yeah.
why, like, back in the 70s, we didn't have a ton of overweight sad people
It's true.
around this country, is because, and I don't know, I mean, the Maha movement is like aiming to fix a lot of this stuff, but in all reality, it's like there's something poisoning us daily, and it's not only affecting your body, but it's affecting you up here. That's why there's
Oh
so
yeah.
many people on all these pills to try and fix your problems, when it's like, when you just eat clean, and you get a
Yep.
moderate amount, like, get some sun, go touch grass, the regular
Yeah.
stuff,
Work out a
you'll
little,
feel better. Like, that
get your blood
depression will
moving.
dissipate. Yes,
Yep.
it makes a huge difference.
Like the glutards, or gluten intolerant people. Sorry, I call them glutards, but I think they are. They go to Italy, and they're like, "Oh wow, look at all this pasta I can eat, and the bread. It doesn't make me feel bad." And it's like, yeah, because, well, probably glyphosate. Honestly, that's the same stuff that made Roundup illegal. They still use that shit on
Yep. Oh yeah.
everything,
Yep.
right? And so that was probably what was in your hips that was destroying it, like cutting down to just meat. Well, do you get it from like a local butcher? Or like what do you do as far as where you get it? Do you hunt
My
yourself?
my wife, I actually don't. But
Okay.
my wife shops for it, so
Bows and
I'm
arrows or no?
I'm not, I'm not bad with a bow and arrow, but I don't
No,
actually
same.
I don't go hunting, and it's not because I have like a moral opposition to it, and it's more like I don't have time to
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
to go and do that. I have so many other priorities, and like I like four wheeling, so I have a big
Cool.
truck that I have to fix all
Your
the time, and
your truck. I want to talk to you about your truck. All right, but well, I don't want to
it's
deviate too
special.
much. No, fuck it. Let's get into it. I want a freaking like. What year is your Toyota?
It is an
What year is that?
87.
An 87. All right. So like
Hmm.
when I picture what I want like a pickup truck, maybe like a forerunner, kind of what would you call yours? So like what is that style, that box
It's
body?
yeah, it's a forerunner.
It is a
So
forerunner. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's the first gen,
Hold
so the
on. I
top
gotta
comes
pull up a
off and it can
picture
look
for
like a
everyone to
truck.
see. I gotta show everybody this freaking amazing thing. I remember when you got the wrap. That was a few years ago now.
Yeah.
But the wrap is cool, dude. Who designed the wrap for you?
Blackbird Wraps. It's actually a place
Blackbird
in
wrap.
Enum. Is it
Okay, look
Enum
at this.
Claw?
Look at this chat. Look at this thing. Wait,
It's a she's a beauty.
let me look at this. So there's a bunch of people riding in on horses, right? Is that it?
It's not
You have a
horses.
better picture?
They're walking behind me.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Let's see if I can
Dude, it's
where would this
so
be at?
clean though. I just snapped this from your podcast. I was like, this is dope. Just freaking standing on the top of this badass freaking look at that thing, man. Mud tires. I mean, that miles per gallon's gotta suck on that thing though.
It's probably like 10-ish, maybe 8. I don't know.
So
I my gas
yeah.
gauge doesn't work, so I don't really know.
You just like, okay, I probably should get gas. Hold on. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, need some gas. I can feel
So
the winds changing. It's the
I
winds
put a
are
picture up
slowing
there.
down. Okay, hold on. Oh yeah, look at that badass.
Yeah,
Wow.
so the top does come off, and
Oh wow, the top comes off.
mhm.
Yeah, I want. So this is exactly what I want. Maybe not that big of tires. That's a little much.
Those are only 40s.
What? Wait, do you have plans to go bigger or what?
I want my next set to be 44s because they can definitely fit underneath of it. But
Yeah.
like those tires they're 40 inches tall, they're 18 and a half inches wide, and they do horrible on the pavement in the rain. It's like driving around on ice skates. But
It's just like,
this
is that what it sounds
oh
like when you're
dude,
driving around?
yeah, it's like a little Cessna, right? It's loud. Well, plus it's got a V. So this is basically a 1-ton Chevy
Wow.
with a 87 body. Like it's got a 350
Amazing.
small block motor and 1-ton axle. It's got full size axles, so the tires stick out like
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah, you could
almost
tell
a
in this
foot.
you could tell in this one.
Yeah.
You could kind of see in this back spot like that thing's sticking out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's Do you go off-roading with it?
Yeah, I actually created a trail behind my
Cool.
house
Oh, dope. All
for
right.
yeah. So I got some backwoods, and so I have a trail out there. And so for my son's birthday party, he's turning 12 this year, but
Cool.
I'll load all the kids up, and then I'll take them mudding, you know. So dude, it's like it's one of the greatest times of year for me, just because of the fact that like all the kids just love having the monster truck around. You know, I mean it's loud, it's fast, it slings mud, as you can see. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
just it's a beast, and it was just one of those things that I always wanted as a kid. And I mean, it's a head turner for sure, but also I built it's built in a way that I can stop at any Napa or O'Reilly's or anything around, any auto parts store around the country, and they'll more than likely have my part because it's like the 350 carbureted motor
Yep.
is the
Just
most common
basic.
motor out there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome.
And
So that's
I can do
convenient.
donuts. I put the add a leaf on the back to help give it some rigidity. So you just got to be a little careful because yeah, it can topple over. So
Yeah, yeah, and you don't want that. Do you
Yeah.
have a winch on it, or are you just, if it happens,
Not yet.
someone's got to come get you?
Yeah, actually, one of the stories that caught the guy who did the rap, I
Yeah.
got the truck stuck out back, in my backwoods, and it was for
Hmm.
like 18 days. Because I had to dig it out. It was a pain in the ass. Like I
Oh
buried
shit.
this thing.
Okay.
So yeah, I have a winch. I have to put it on there. I got to do a couple things to the winch to make it work. Um, I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
It's one of
Yeah.
those
I mean,
things, you know.
but you got 2 kids, right?
Yep.
So you got 2 kids. You got show your hands. Show your hands. You got a job where you're freaking constantly going work and getting dirty.
Hmm.
It's kind of cool. What do you do with the old tires? Because you're going out and changing tires. Do you have to chop them up, or do you just like bring them somewhere that takes tires? Or
My company will basically send them off to another company to recycle
okay,
them. So
oh, okay,
there's
okay,
they either retread them or recycle them. So
okay. How much did those tires that you got, the 40s? How much was a set of those?
those are $1,080 a piece.
A piece.
Yeah, per.
Wow.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
That's crazy. I don't know. I don't know anything about mud tires. So I'm looking at those and I'm like, huh, tires are probably kind of expensive. Like, huh. Looking at those, I'm like, yeah. I always wanted to get into rally racing. That was always my jam. I always wanted that.
Yeah, I mean, I I kind of wanted to do that too, but I just grew up in this world. Like my stepdad,
Yeah.
he's got a 77 Chevy Blazer, and I mean,
Dope.
we built that thing like, dude, it's got a 454 big block. It's on 40-inch tires as well. He's got an internal
Mm,
roll cage. Like he's got all the works on it, and
wow.
it is. I love vehicles that, for one, everything's manual, and for two, I can fix them.
Same.
Like all the newer
Yeah.
vehicles, and one of the reasons why I actually didn't become a mechanic is because I saw the trend that we were going on with all the cars, and most of it's just
Yep.
electronics and specialized BS parts that are purposely made to fail. So that way you
Yeah.
have to bring it back to the dealership to have it scanned, and
Yep.
it is such a pain. And
Yeah.
I like older vehicles. And plus, something like this, everybody assumes that like this truck is insanely expensive. All in all, into this truck, I probably have 14 to 15 thousand dollars. That's it.
Okay. Including
But
the price of
many
buying it.
hours. Yeah.
So buying it and then souping it up 15 grand.
Well, it was so I bought it to where like a lot of the hardware was already there.
Okay.
I just upgraded it, made it actually be able to run on the road, and a lot of people will just believe that something like this is going to be crazy expensive. Like the miles per gallon thing is completely offset by the fact that, for one, it's paid off, and for two, the insurance is super cheap on it
Because it's
because
an 80, 87.
yeah,
Right. That's true.
it's so as far as like the miles per gallon goes, like I don't care about that, and it's
True.
environmentally friendly because it didn't have to be manufactured last year. Now, this was manufactured back in '87 before I was even born. So
Yeah. Yeah, you bought something old and, you're keeping it
mhm,
instead of, wasting and buying new. Honestly,
yeah,
that brings up an interesting point about the way that engines are, like BMWs have their own parts that only BMW dealers now can deal with. Like it reminds me of what happened. It was the iPhone. The iPhone had its own port. Remember, it had like the lightning port or whatever, and they actually got taken to court or I don't remember. It was like a government thing. People were bitching that, or not bitching, it was like an environmental thing, like two different cords, when USB-C was like the standard of everything other than iPhones. So
hmm,
they were forced to use the USB-C because it was like, so then, and I kind of see the relation here, right? I mean, I feel like these car company, I don't like regulations, but at the same time, certain things should be regulated. And when you have a company like BMW, Mercedes, or name any car company that are making their vehicles so convoluted and complex, and on the sole purpose of making it so that people can't repair it themselves, that feels like that should be illegal. You know what I mean?
Y-
I
Yeah,
don't know.
like that actually, I've never actually thought about it that way, but I mean, I've talked about the planned obsolescence and the like over specialization that car manufacturers have, and a lot of it's due to like the way that they, what is it? It's not, is it copyright? But basically the way that they can't like share their intellectual property and how they're
Right.
actually manufacturing their products. But the only way that I possibly see changing that is not necessarily through legislation, because it's gotten so complicated to the point where like the car industry is already insanely over regulated. Like
So true.
the way to fix it would be to be able to import something like the Toyota Hilux, right? A basic vehicle without
Yep.
all the bells and whistles. If we dropped all the regulation for needing to have tire sensors and all of these emissions sensors and emission standards that they have nowadays, if a lot of those were dropped
Mm.
and you could buy like a base vehicle that's just, it goes, it stops, and it
Is that what the
it
Hilux
functions
is?
as a car. Yeah, basically. There,
It's
yeah,
just like the
it's
basic truck, the Toyota
mhm,
truck, bare bones.
yeah.
Wow, I didn't know.
And it's
That's why
sold.
it's
It's sold overseas because the
yeah,
engines last forever. It's
yeah,
useful as a truck, but it won't pass all of the regulations that we have here that
yeah.
cars are required to have now, with all these various airbags and emissions controls and
Mm.
all the various sensors that you have to have in order to have a vehicle, which is just completely, like, in my mind, like, I understand
Bullshit.
that some people want to have the safest vehicle that they possibly can have. But if we're now to the point where we rely on these companies to supply us with a brand new vehicle every 4 years, then we're going to keep feeding into that. So the only way I really see changing it is if people buy old cars and fix them up themselves. That's the only way to get
Yep.
around it, is to stop paying for all of this crap. And I mean, that's in every aspect of our lives. Constantly we're spending money on companies that are either woke or they hate us. And
Yep.
it's just like, well, that's part of life, you got to do it. And it's like, no, you don't. You just have to get your
Right.
hands dirty sometimes. And it's difficult. Like, don't get me wrong, there's shit that, like, I took my wife out with my truck, and luckily I've crawled through like every inch of that truck. So uh we went out. Where did we go? We went to the state capitol, and then we went to dinner afterwards. And as soon as we were about to go leave from dinner, like, the truck just stopped. It was like nothing. And I was able to figure it out and put a temporary fix on it and get us back home at the time. But like, that doesn't generally happen with a newer vehicle. But
Hmm.
since I've put the work in and know how this truck runs, gas, air, or fuel, air, and spark are generally the problems that you can diagnose old vehicles with. And so I was
Yeah.
able to figure it out. I fixed it, and I was kind of thinking that, like, a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that because they just don't know how it works. They've never
That's true.
investigated into, like, how a vehicle functions
Or
from
motor in
start to
general.
finish. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
true. Well, it's like that brings up like a whole thing about, fix it yourself and getting products that are meant to last. Like you mentioned, planned obsolescence, and like that is such a plague on human society, with the amount of trash that is just being littered on the world, because people don't they want that quick, fast, whatever, that cheap thing, instead of like having that one thing that they really that's like, oh well, I need a knife. Well, I'm gonna get one good knife that's gonna last me forever, and then maybe pass it on to my son when he gets old. I could give it to him, and that apply that to literally everything in the world. Like they used to make, they
Yeah.
still
Refrigerators.
the refrigerators from the
Hmm.
30s still work, and they still are ice cold, and they can hold freaking a ton of weight. Because they're built to last, and it's like they don't make shit like that anymore, and I hate it, man. I freaking hate it. I hope when the regulations get lifted like Trump's doing, and manufacturing actually comes back to America, which I mean, I have high hopes. I think that is needed. Um made in the USA used to really mean something, and how often do you see made in the USA? Tesla's actually made in the States, which is actually crazy. People hate Tesla, but
Yeah, and
so
like I won't buy a Tesla, not because I have any like anything against
Elon, no, because it's
Elon
electric.
Musk. Yeah, because I don't like, you actually don't control anything in a Tesla. Like
That's
you're
true,
hitting buttons and that's it. And
basically.
I mean, it was what, 2013 or 2014 that declassified information came out saying that they can basically hack any vehicle through the
Yeah, that's
radio from
wild.
like 2008 on. It's like I'm slightly
Yeah,
paranoid, but I also like to be in control and know like what we're doing. Like a lot of vehicles nowadays are steer by wire, which is basically you turn the steering wheel and it sends an electronic signal to your steering box and it'll turn for you. And it's
right.
like I don't I don't like those things. Maybe that they're, they're safer for the most part, but I like mechanical things that I can work on. I know how it works, and I'm not going to get, nobody can just hack into it and ruin my day, right?
You're right.
I like
Hmm.
mechanical things, and I think that if our, and I don't know how to inspire an entire generation when woodshop class has
Right.
been removed, when people don't know even how to change their tire. Like I had a customer come in, this is like a decade ago, so it's been a long time. But I had a customer come in, he was like in his mid 40s. He was 6'4" ish. He was a big guy, and
Mm.
looked like fully competent and able bodied. Okay, no, he wasn't walking with a cane. He wasn't in a wheelchair, but he was complaining to me because he had to sit on the side of the road for 3 hours so AAA could come out and swap out his tire. And then
With
when he
with
got
his own
to,
spare that he had.
yes, and when he got to our shop, I told him it was going to be about 2 hours because we were really busy.
Hmm.
And he got so mad at me, and that interaction has stuck with me for so long because it would have taken him 20 minutes to go out and change his tire if he
Yeah.
was just willing to do it. But for some
Yep.
reason, like there's so many people in our society that like they don't want to get their hands dirty at all. And so they
Yeah.
would rather have somebody else do it, even if it's less convenient, even if it kind of screws over the next generation. We've kind of just seen this idea of planned obsolescence and having somebody else do it for you,
Yeah.
as becoming the norm. And
Yep.
it's tough to combat that. Like I'm trying to teach my sons, like my 11-year-old son knows how to switch out the tire in case my wife gets a flat tire and my son's with her. He's going to go
Yep.
out and change the tire for her so she
Awesome.
doesn't have to get her hands dirty.
Well, there you go. You answered it yourself, right? You said you don't know how to inspire an entire generation. You can't. It's impossible.
Hmm.
The only thing you can do is to influence the youth that you, of your own, right? Your own kids. So you teaching your son that is going to be that will ripple out, right? Hopefully that he maybe will teach it, who knows, right? That's how it changes. I mean, good parenting. And my son's 9 months old, but like when he gets older, I can't wait to teach him the things that I know what to do, and I want him to be able to be competent in these things. I don't really know engines, and I kind of want to. I really want to get an older truck. Like I really want a pickup truck. I want to get an older something, like a 80s Ford, 150 or some, just something old. No,
You
what
Ford. No, there's nothing wrong with
well,
the old
well,
Ford High Boys. No,
my
no, they're
dad
good.
had an old my dad had like an 80 something F-150. So like that was the first truck I remember being in. So like maybe I'm a little nostalgia for that, but like
Yeah.
something older or a pickup truck that is just like you said, bare bones. That's what I want. Something very simple and pre 68 really. Well, my grandfather actually had like this bubble Chevy. It was like cherry red. I don't even know what year it was. It had to be like late 50s or something. I don't what I'm talking about, those
Bro, get a
bubble
get a
Chevy
a
trucks.
50 a 57 Chevy Apache.
Let me look
Those
this up.
things are beautiful. Step
57
side.
Chevy
Hmm.
Apache. Let's look at what he's talking about here. Oh, look at that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
That's
my
that's
god.
what I
Look
want in
at
a four-wheel
that.
drive. Like that's my dream truck
Wow.
right there.
I can see you just pulling up like, yeah, you need your tire fixed. I got you. All right. That's awesome, dude. That is a freaking cool truck. Wow.
Yeah, those are bare bones, and they're just absolutely they're like classic American, right?
Yeah.
Like that's when America was coming out with designs of vehicles that were unique. They, I mean, are timeless. Everybody likes them, and
True. Yeah.
like you can appreciate them to this day. Any vehicle built nowadays, for one, they're not going to last 50 years. There's no
They-
way. The
Yep.
interior is going to completely fall apart because it's all made of plastic, and
Facts. They all look the same.
they do. Yeah, like
They
all the
do.
SUVs, all the cars, they're all
Yep.
they all just are kind of
Homogeneous.
molding into one, and
It's so bad. I hate it, man. And they're all black or white or gray. You know?
oh my
Not
gosh,
that
yeah.
color isn't that the biggest deal, but like they all look the same. They're all the same color. It's like equilibrium, man. Like it's
Well, look at
slowly
look
numbing.
at modern designs for houses. They're all gray and black. Like I told my
True.
wife, like we're not allowed to have anything gray in this house. We're not painting anything gray and black in this household. It drives me crazy. Like we were searching for a house back in 2019,
Okay.
and I remember driving through this neighborhood. It was one of the houses we were looking at, and like just driving through it, like I was getting stressed out. I did not like it because every house was the same. They were all brand new built houses, and the uniformity. It there's something about me that like rejects uniformity of that
Yeah.
kind. Like I can't do it, and I don't think that it's beautiful to have very bland colors. Like for the
Same.
nursery for our kid, like we're not going to paint the walls gray. There's just no way I'm doing that because it like kills your spirit. I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't speak to anything unique or special or like worth having in
Yeah.
any way.
My room when I was a baby was bright yellow. And I found out later in life, very recently actually, because we haven't actually painted his room yet, but because I have a newborn now, well, in 9 months, it still feels like he's a slug, although he's starting to crawl and stuff. Um, you think about this stuff and you start researching like, does color make a difference actually on the walls? And actually, I'm like inundated with like this whole research about like exercising in brighter colors. Like if you wear like a bright neon shirt, that actually changes the way your exercise is. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but it seemed like according to the research and like walls and in a baby room also affect like the color affect the way the baby's mood is. And I guess like a bright yellow room is good for like the intellect of a child. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, all right. Well, what happened with me? My room was yellow. No,
Hey man, you've had a
but
pretty successful run over these past couple of years. I mean,
man, I guess. Yeah, thank you. I'm still trying to find my place. I don't know if I'm successful, but I've been on YouTube's list infamously because I have 13 strikes on this channel, and it's been an uphill battle. Even though like I got a bump because of Tim Pool's show that I was on, and then I left, and I feel like everyone wanted the show that I was on with Tim, and I'm not Tim Pool at all, right? So when I went solo, I think a lot of people they subscribed and then they were like, "Oh, well, this sucks because this isn't the Timcast IRL show that we were enjoying." And it's been like a downward spiral from that point. And I'm kind of just like I feel like I'm coming into a zone of figuring out what works for me. Interviews, I love interviewing people. I love chatting with people and just discussing just the ways of the world. And I'm fascinated. Like this is such a great conversation. We've only been talking not even an hour, and we've kind of nutrition and like it's kind of societal issues, and we're hitting up all these awesome things, and it's just a great conversation. I love it. So yeah, I'm coming into my own, but I do appreciate that. Yeah. I some let me see. There's been some chats. Samuel the Infamous for 10 says, I'm a mutt, mostly German and Oglala Lakota by heritage, but I'm American first. Full stop.
Hell yeah.
There it is. There it is
Yeah,
right there.
and and you can feel free to steal this from me, but
Sure.
I'll often say that I'm Native American with emphasis on American, because that I don't want people to question my loyalty just because I honor some of my heritage, but like a lot of the work that I personally do is trying to bring back Native American representation, because
Yeah.
it's been culturally purged from our society in a lot of ways. Is just like being able to wear a headdress in public. Like, I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that kid from a couple years, oh, I guess it was like a year and a half ago, Holden Armenta, who wore a headdress to one of the Chiefs game, and he painted his face like half red and half black. Right?
Hmm.
He was basically called out by Deadspin, but they're going through a lawsuit. They're still going through the lawsuit, by the way. But Karen Phillips basically wrote an article saying that he was wearing blackface and that he was dishonoring Native American culture by wearing the headdress.
Yeah.
And Eddie and I actually started a fundraiser, and we actually got him and his dad to the Super Bowl. It was kind of before I like got bigger on X.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. This sounds familiar though. Eddie's your co-host on the Patriots Prayer. Is that what you're talking about?
So yeah, he's the co-creator of the Patriots Prayer Network. I used to be on a podcast with him. He's kind of taken a step back and helps out with production a little bit more,
Okay.
and like networking and things of that nature. But my podcast now is called the Cowboys and Indians podcast. So
Yeah.
because I got a guy from Texas, Steve Loves Ammo. He's
great.
great. So, and I was like, dude, we got to do something Cowboys and Indians themed, because it's just like, we're trying to move beyond the point where getting insulted by every little racial difference, or even, saying like you're not allowed to play Cowboys and Indians, or you're not allowed to dress up as Halloween as an Indian. Like,
So stupid.
last year, my wife and we dressed up as John Smith and Pocahontas. So she's white.
Beautiful.
She dressed up as Pocahontas, and I mean, I dressed up as John
Right.
Smith. I had a blonde wig and everything. So it was great. We appropriated
That's
each
great.
other.
That's wonderful. Did it piss anyone off? I hope so.
I don't know. I got a lot of
Maybe.
I got a couple 100,000 views on it, and too many comments to read. So it's tough
Yeah,
to say.
yeah.
I don't know.
I do
It
remember. I
could've-
do remember seeing that actually. Yeah, yeah. And actually, I think I remember seeing you bringing that kid to the Super Bowl. I think I remember seeing that happen, because that wasn't that long ago, right? It's just a couple years or something, right?
It was last year. So it was
Last year. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 2020, the beginning of 2023, that Super Bowl
Yeah,
where
yeah.
the Chiefs went, and
That's 2 years ago now.
well, yeah, pretty much. Wow.
Dude, time
Oh, wait,
is
no, yeah.
whipping by, man.
Whoa.
We're
Okay,
we're
yeah,
almost
so it's
halfway
been a
through
while.
25. Holy shit. I know,
Oh, yeah.
man. It's great. So how long ago was your kids in infant stage? Does it feel like yesterday? I know he's
Yeah,
almost 12, but like how fast has it gone this past 10 years, 12 years?
it's, I don't know, so much has happened in my life since then.
Yeah.
But I mean, looking back, like, it's hard to believe that I'm already in my 30s, and like I got this, like, somebody didn't know what burning a CD was the other day. Like, they'd never heard that term. And
Wow.
it's like, okay, like, you're making me feel
Oh,
old
wow.
now, chill with
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah. Yeah, I get that a lot. I'm 41. I get it all the time, man. I can't believe I'm in my 40s. It's just shit, man. Holy
doesn't
crap.
it feel weird though that, like, you thought, like, as a kid growing up, I assumed that all adults had their shit together, and like like,
Yeah.
my mom and my stepdad came into my life when I was 5, and he taught me like everything there is to know about being a man. Like, he helped mold me into a hard, dedicated worker that can likes to do things on their own. Like, he taught me how to change oil at a young age, how to fix my truck. He would like
Nice.
intentionally screw with my truck sometimes, so it like wouldn't run, and he'd be like, "All right, go fix it," and I'm like, "Dang it," like, it sucked at the time. We lived
Trying
down
to
a
get
mile
to
and a
work.
yeah. We lived down a 1.5 mile gravel road. So in like 5th, 6th grade, he'd be there to pick me up, and he'd be in his old 72 Chevy, and it'd be filled up with gravel. And he's like, "Well, we're filling potholes on the way back home." And I'm like, all frustrated. But
You
dude,
did this
like,
on purpose.
Yeah. So I was raised, and he's sober, so he doesn't drink at all. And so
Okay.
I was raised by adults. Like my stepdad owned his own company. My mom, she worked full time, and she like they didn't go out to bars drinking. They didn't go partying. Like they were responsible people who always held up their end of the deal. They were always home by like 9, 10 o'clock, and I just assumed that like most people were like that. And
Yeah.
it turns out that
Wow.
you go into the workforce and you're like, wow, everybody handles things like it's like middle school drama everywhere. And then you look into
Everywhere.
politics and you're like, it's even worse. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. They'll just
Yeah.
lie blatantly all the time. And
Yeah.
it
Middle
still
school
surprises me to this
politics
day.
with the power to make laws that affect everyone and spend
Yes.
your money willy
Yeah.
nilly, just, flippantly. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's so true. Man,
Mm-hmm.
the politics. I mean, I don't even want to like even discuss politics. I know you and I both are talk about it constantly. We post about it, about the goings. Um, I let's just talk about like I'm excited about America hitting 250 and that Trump is in the White House when it happened. Like that is just so fucking epic, man. Like a
Yeah.
year-long party. Like what is it next year? It's gonna be he's gonna start next year. It's gonna be a year-long party up until 2027, and then he's gonna do some like World's Fair thing, right? Man, how cool is
Yeah.
that?
Isn't that interesting? Bringing back like the idea of the World's Fairs, which I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know if you ever looked into them, but there's something fishy
I
about
have
what
it.
was going on back then. The World's
Tell me.
Fairs, dude, they would build like the World's Fair that was held in Chicago back in like
Okay.
1913, like around that early 1900s. Um, it, they supposedly built all these like giant buildings built out of stone and marble, and they would just build them and then like tear them down after the World's Fair. Like they shared all this immaculate
Yeah, that's
technology.
weird.
I don't know. Like you start looking into that stuff and you're like, there's something weird and something being held back from us that we don't know about because all of these like I don't want to get into the whole like Tartaria theory, Tartaria, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about that whole theory that all the old world buildings, you
Oh,
know.
we know about Tartaria on this
Oh,
channel.
okay, cool.
I got a buddy. His name's Exertus, Andreas. He joins me on Monday nights. Very big rabbit hole. In fact, this how much of a rabbit hole that I have a stinger just for how deep the rabbit hole it is. Check it out.
Oh, here we go. We are falling with Andreas down the rabbit hole. I'm falling, falling, falling down, down, down the rabbit hole with Andreas. Exert us.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Dude, he's great. Yeah, he loves Tartaria though, and yeah, it's yeah. There's emotes in chat with the him falling, but I do find it fascinating. With the, like, there's like star forts and stuff, and like looking at this building. So I'm from Chicago originally, and I don't actually recognize this building here. So like you'd think that like an epic building like this, why would they get rid of that if they built that in Chicago? Oh, this is from what is 1813? They're saying the
Well,
World's
they
Fair in
just
1893,
okay.
and then Chicago burnt down in like the tens. When did the
Yeah.
Chicago fire happen? I'm not sure actually. Anyway, I do find it fascinating. I don't know if it's true. There's a lot of YouTube videos that are debunking Tartaria as well,
Which is
and
fine.
so
Like I
I
just
don't
know
know.
that there's some shit that they're not telling us because
100%.
like even there's some buildings here in Washington State. Like Washington wasn't a state until like the early 1900s. And then like right as we
Yeah, the
became a state,
library.
they built all these giant beautiful immaculate buildings like that. But
Yeah, yeah.
nowadays we can't get shit. Like I live in a manufactured home. Okay, like it is not built to last in any way, shape, or form. Like the roofing, before I replace the roof, it's like 1x1s is what they use for the trusses. It is garbage, but supposedly back in the day they just used to like they didn't have any power tools. They didn't have big semis carrying all these
Right.
slabs of marble. and somehow they were able to just throw these buildings together in a year, no problem.
Yeah.
It's like, where along the line did we forget how to do that entirely? And I don't understand. It's like there's a missing, because I worked in my stepdad worked, like his business was construction. So I've done construction, like general construction. Basically, I haven't built like big buildings or anything, but there's something odd that all of the buildings that we build nowadays, all of them don't compare in any way, shape, or form to the buildings that were built supposedly from like 1850 to 1910. It's like that's the era where there were just architects everywhere. Yeah, architects everywhere, and they could just throw up these giant castles or palaces, and then all of a sudden they're always owned by banks or the state.
Yeah.
And it's
wait, let me ask then. So, do you think that it's more likely that they did in fact build them, however they did, or were they there already? Because that's what the Tartaria argues, is that like a lot of these buildings were there, and if that was the case, who was living in them? Because you look at Cusco, right, in Peru, you could see like the layers of like the original people who built the megalithic blocks and like sexy woman and like all these spots. And then you see like when the Spanish came in and they built the next layer, and then like the newer age stuff. And now you got like 7-Elevens or, Taco Bells in these like ancient buildings. So it's the new shit, the stuff that you're talking about, like the nowadays, the crappy roofs or whatnot. And it's like, now they're like building on, and that's not going to last you, a couple thousand years. The base stuff is still going to be there. And like these buildings, like the library and whatnot that are made of marble and the stones that are meant to last, they're going to still be there. So were they there? And I feel like wouldn't have Native Americans moved in? Wouldn't, the people that were living in that area, like, oh wow, there's this giant marble building, like let's all live in there, that'll be our worship house and whatnot. I don't know. So it's hard to believe if that's the case.
It is, but it just feels like there's a missing component to our history that we're not allowed to know.
Yeah.
And
history is written by the victors.
Yeah, and I mean, even if I look back, like the history from my people in the Pacific Northwest, the Swinomish people, right? It's scattered between like 13 different Upper Skagit tribes, and a lot of the traditions and oral traditions that were passed down over time, it doesn't mention anything about giant buildings or anything like that. Like they were just living off the land. You think it would? Yeah, but at the same time, if we were able to construct those buildings so easily back then, I just don't, and these are like worldwide with all the same kind of, supposedly built around the same time, most of them around the same time, all around the world. And then like, once we got industrial tools, we just said, we don't need buildings like that anymore at all, ever.
Yeah. Right.
Just never again. Those are just built to last forever. And we're just going to build these crappy little square boxes with no stone art carved into it that supposedly was done by like hammer and chisel, where they would just throw these giant 30-foot columns together, that they just carved out of stone. But I don't know, man. It just like, I want to believe that there was a Tartarian civilization that was worldwide, and there was this huge cataclysm that just took everything out, and then we're the survivors of whatever cataclysm that was. But I just feel like I'm missing too many pieces, and that
well, you're talking.
It feels like I'm not allowed to know. Yeah.
Have you heard of the Younger Dryas?
Yeah.
So, the Atlantean Empire supposedly was the one that existed before the Younger Dryas. At least that's what people think. The Tartaria Empire was Now, Andreas thinks that the past 2,000 years isn't actually 2,000 years. He thinks that they've added time to just like throw off the masses. I don't remember exactly what he was saying, but like Tartaria is on some maps around the Black Sea, Mongolia, Russia, there's like this area where Tartaria would have existed, but if it was like a global spanning empire where the star forts could have come from, I mean, who knows? I lean personally towards I think that there was a global civilization that existed before the Younger Dryas, and North America had a lot of the empire and the Americas. They just found with LiDAR under the Amazon forest this crazy network of roads that they had no idea that existed. And you could see it. It's freaking everywhere. These sprawling roadworks that just go through the Amazon. And the Amazon, I mean, that in itself is a whole fascinating another conversation. But
Hey, really
I don't
quick,
know,
Adam.
man.
I don't know if it's
Sure.
just me, but it almost
Yeah.
sounds like you changed your input.
Really?
Yeah,
Just now?
yeah. It's like
Really?
there was a click, and then your voice changed.
Wow. Give me a second. Does it still sound like that?
Hmm.
What the heck happened?
Could just be me, but it was very distinct. It just kind of popped out.
Yeah.
You know.
But I mean, I was talking a lot there too, so it was probably obvious if it was if it changed audio.
It sounds like it's coming from a lower quality mic, but
Well,
I
why
don't
the
know.
heck
Maybe
is
it's
that?
my headset.
Sounds Gus, it sounds good to you. All right.
Hmm. Could just
Well,
be my headset.
nothing on my end changed. But I'm gonna blame StreamYard anyway. Because StreamYard always changes my settings, and yeah, I don't know what to do. Yeah, well, that sucks.
Well,
But anyway,
do you
I'm
ever
fascinated.
follow
Go ahead.
Ben Davidson, the Suspicious Observers on YouTube?
Yeah, we've had him on the show and interviewed
Oh,
him on
nice.
Forbidden Frontier. Yeah, Sunday nights. So my show Sunday night is about ancient civilizations and cryptids and UFOs and these obscure. Well, it's called the Forbidden Frontier, right? It's like this it's kind of what you're talking about. Like, we're not allowed to know about these things, remote viewing or 0 point energy. Like, a lot of these things I think exist, and the government's like, well, if we give it to society, the world economy would crumble, so we can't do that, so we're just going to keep it hidden in a black box instead of helping humanity. And I think there's
Yeah.
countless stuff like this, that exist.
Well, okay. So I'll tell you.
How
How do I
deep
put this?
into the Ben Davidson rabbit hole are you, though? I'm just curious.
Well, I've interviewed him as well. I've talked to him
Okay.
a couple times, so I know all about what's
The
supposed to be.
micronova.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's
all
coming.
that
Okay.
stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I'm aware.
But so I had I don't know if I should call it a vision, but this was a couple years ago, right?
Go on.
So I took some psychedelics, went on a journey.
Mushroom or
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So
And
natural.
Yes, yeah, and I've never
okay.
tried any other. I've never tried like acid or anything like that because
have,
I didn't think that it was. It doesn't seem like a pure form to go on, right? And so this was when
I
I was
agree.
trying to like gain access to some wisdom, I guess you
Sure.
could say, like get
So
get some
you had that
answers.
intention.
Yes, yeah, that's what I was
Interesting.
using it for.
Okay, cool. Tell me
And
about it.
so I took a little bit more than the regular amount, but I went
What's the
into,
regular amount? Like an eighth?
I don't remember the exact amount. I think it was like, I think I feel like there's a 6 coming up that is like 6 is like the hero's journey is what they usually
Okay.
say. Like 2 to 3. I don't remember if it's like,
Hmm.
I don't remember what the measurement is, but
Sure. Okay.
I had it figured out back then.
So
So
you had a little more than the average.
Yeah. just
Okay.
a little bit, like not much. But
Mhm.
so I basically came out of that believing that, and I don't, like once you get separated from that moment, everything starts to feel less and less real from what you experienced. But at the time,
Sure.
it did feel real. And basically that our civilization, this is the best way for me to articulate it, is that our civilization, for one, it was our choice to come here. Like I was able to
Earth.
see my life Like I saw my life in like a white sphere, and I
Mhm.
remember it. Okay, it felt more like a recollection of a memory rather than experiencing something new. But I remember like choosing, like I'm supposed to be here in this moment in this time, and like this, it was my choice to be me, basically. So that
To
was
like to control your meat sack that you're imbibing right
yes,
now. Okay.
yeah.
In this plane of existence on Earth at this
hmm
moment in time. Okay. Continue.
But so that was the first thing that I came out with. So that was good, and like
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
reassurance.
that's great.
But
Yeah, yeah.
the second part was that we're kind of like put here as lab rats. Like this entire human civilization that we're experiencing right now is an
Mhm.
experiment by something else.
Mm.
I couldn't tell you what it is, but and I mean, over the years, I've tried to figure out exactly how to articulate this, but it's it feels like we're like this isn't the first time that we've had an advanced civilization, and that
I agree with that.
human civilization has basically gone through cycles.
Oh yeah.
um and it's like a rinse and repeat kind of thing. So like when you look at the human population back in 1700 and how it spikes up like this, and supposedly before it was like steady, like no people anywhere for all of time except for like the few civilizations that popped up here and
Yeah,
there
that
that
is
they tell
weird.
us about. But and then all of a sudden it's just like bram, all the way up. And so it feels maybe it's like our civilization has kind of gone through like this where it's just been
Oh yeah.
cataclysms or just like resets, or I mean, you look through the Bible and you read through, if you read through the Bible, you'll come out thinking that there's no possible way that humans would be able to write something like that today. And so there's ancient wisdom in there that we don't know how it came to be, and apart from what it says in the Bible. But like our civilization isn't going to produce something like that. You can write the greatest, like if you write the greatest best-selling book of our last, the entire time America's been around, it's not even going to come in comparison to the depth and interlinking ideas that are in the Bible. there's
Yeah.
there's just no way to do it. And so how did that come to be, and why is it that our civilization is so separated from anything that is not only long lasting but that deep from the past, right? Like the
Right.
depth that's in the Bible is incalculable. Like there's no way that you could understand the Bible. You can read through it a million times and try to link through it back. You could spend your entire life and still not understand exactly what the Bible's trying to tell you. And
And always get something new every time you read it too, I'm sure.
yes, yeah, and then the amount of like way it links back to itself so many different times, and the amount of people or civilizations that we found that we didn't know were there until it was read through the Bible, and then they go out and they find like something that helps prove the Bible. The amount of times that that's happened and corroborates what's in the Bible is interesting. And
Yeah.
so why is our civilization right now so disconnected from that? Like with how many people we have, you'd think that there would be greatness coming out, and but for some reason we don't have it. We're not producing anything that is long lasting. Like if our civilization collapsed tomorrow,
Yeah.
in 2000 years, everything that says that we're here is going to be gone. All the plastic's going to be gone. I mean, all the buildings are going to collapse,
Pyramids will still
and
be here.
the the pyramids will. The old
Yeah.
world, the Capitol buildings that are built out of stone and marble, those will
Yeah.
still be here. But our
That's true.
civilization today,
Yeah,
it'll be
yeah.
gone. It's all in technology and phones. All these will be gone. They'll be deteriorated. Even if they were found, they'd be like, there'd be no
What's
way
this?
to read them. There'd be no way
True.
to access the information that's on it. So
Mm.
why are we the only civilization that has no interest in preserving what we are or who we are? And it's
I
like
think
it's like
I
a
think we
humanity problem. It's not just you and me.
well,
It's a humanity issue.
you mentioned like 1913, well, the when that time frame, right? And like what was really starting at the end of that, which is like the Industrial Revolution, the ability to mass manufacture things, and like and that this is like one of the negatives of capitalism, right? It's that, oh well, we gotta convince the public that this is a good idea. And that happened on all fronts, like cereal. Kellogg's made cereal and convinced the world that, oh, it's great to eat cereal in the morning. And then orange juice was like
Yeah.
the same thing, oh, it's great to do this. And then they got doctors on board to like
Yeah.
convince the masses. And then like suddenly, instead of people being healthy and
Bacon
eating
and
an
eggs.
orange, bacon and eggs, like actual food, they started substituting for something cheaper and easier. And
Mhm.
then like 100 years go by, and now every facet of society is catering to the whims of instant gratification. And I hate that. And that's why we're not producing anything, because no one wants to. That 6'4" guy a decade ago that didn't know how to change his tire, guarantee he still doesn't know how to change a tire. And
Yeah, you're probably
even
right.
you said it was 10 years ago, but
Mhm.
I'm telling you, people nowadays have no idea how to change a tire. I think more now than ever before. People don't know how to do shit because they're not taught how to do shit. And I don't think the government wants anyone to know what they're doing, because they don't want sovereign humans. They want sheep. They want people that
Yeah.
are just gonna follow what they're told, do what that's why, like, look at the Democrats. That I really I like your you say you're not a Democrat, but you're sure as hell not a Republican either. What would you say? You're a I have it on a somewhere. Uh I'm a free thinking patriot of this country. I love that. And I think that that's what we need. We need more, and you could throw sovereign on there too, because I get that energy from you. The ability to control things yourself. That is a sovereign innate ability that people don't have anymore. The respect that you gain for your own person is immense when you suddenly take things into your own hands, and that has just been robbed of America. Like, to me, to be have you ever heard of the American Creed? Have you ever heard of this? You're gonna love this. You've never heard of it?
I
Let me read the
I'm not sure.
American Let me read the American's Creed for you right now. This was written in 1920 something. It's awesome. The American's Creed. Here, let me just pop it up real quick so you can see it. The American's Creed. I do not choose to be a common man. It is my right to be uncommon. I seek opportunity to develop whatever talents God gave me, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dulled by having the state look after me. I want to take the calculated risk, to dream and to build, to fall and to succeed. I refuse to barter incentive for a dull. I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the stale calm of utopia. I will not trade freedom for beneficence, nor my dignity for a handout. I will never cower before any earthly master, nor bend to any threat. It is my heritage to stand erect, proud, and unafraid, to think and act myself, enjoy the benefits of my creations, and to face the world boldly and say, this, with God's help, I have done. All this is what it means to be an American. I saw that one time, and I can never let it go because I love it so much. That is like, I love that. I want America to be that. And like having a conversation with you, like I'm getting that energy. So like this could be your freaking, I don't know, theme song, or whatever,
Yeah.
just slap it on the freaking trunk of the freaking Forerunner. You know what I mean? We
Yeah,
need
and
that energy, man.
that is the exact energy that I want to put out there. And I love the way that that's worded. And a lot of people nowadays, it seems that well, it's generations of this happening, but 1962, I believe the Supreme Court decided that they would remove God from all of our institutions, and it
Crazy.
made it completely changed the way that we see ourselves, like our relationship that we have with the government and what they're supposed to do and what they're supposed to regulate and how they're supposed to regulate and how they're
Mm,
guided in their decisions. By removing God from all of those choices, like
they become
I
God.
I, I yeah, well, and I've been asked so many times, like, are you religious? And in my heart, I believe that everybody is religious, apart from psychopaths. Okay, um,
Okay. Sure.
Because, well, psychopaths, and I mean this like literally, psychopaths don't know the difference between like good and evil. They can't differentiate. But if you, as a human
Okay.
being, believe in good and evil, then you are inherently religious. Then you
True.
have a moral conscience of some kind. It's just that, like me being a Christian, I have a specified God. I know what I know what I see as the greatest ideal and what I'm running away from, which would be Satan. But if you're like a modern leftist and you believe that you're not religious, then your greatest ideal is the political whim of the day. And
True.
there's a reason, like the saying, the pathway to hell is paved with good intentions, is
Mhm.
because you'll see a lot of these people, a lot of these lefties, you know, going out and being activists, trying to do good in this world, but doing it in the worst possible way. They're destroying, because their guidance, their ultimate good, is the political whims of the day, and that is most likely easily subverted by demonic forces or evil forces, whatever you want to call it. People that want power, who embody the values of Satan, or however you want to put it.
Yeah.
It's
Just of
good.
evil in general, right?
Yeah, people's goodwill can be easily subverted unless you're grounded. And I'm not saying that like I'm immune to it. I can have good intentions
Sure.
and do something bad, but people have figured out, the people in power figured out that goodwill and good intentions can be easily subverted. That's why the language is so deceptive when you look into politics. That's why they'll write like, "Oh, this is the Helping Puppies Not Drown Act," and then it's like, in the bill, it's like, "Oh, by the way, we're going to be spying on you all the time," and like how they passed the Patriot Act.
I was gonna say
I
you
mean,
could just bring up the Patriot Act, because that's literally that,
yes,
or
yeah,
the
it's like,
National Defense Authorization Act. Like there's plenty of examples where they do this all the time. A big beautiful bill. I mean, look, I love Trump. I voted for Trump multiple times. I still think that that's a horrible bill. Like there's, I could still be. I'm not a blind zealot, but it's the same thing, controlling AI and not being allowed to regulate it for 10 years, taking the
well,
power away from the states. That's kind of insane.
the way I see that in particular,
Sure.
because
Go on.
I understand why people are freaked out about that, but in all reality, what the hell could the state do to stop AI? There's no stopping. There's nothing the states
Then why
could do
put
to
it in the bill at
regulate
all?
AI.
Why put it in the bill at all then? What's
To
the
have
if
legality.
there's nothing?
I mean, that's what they do all the time. They'll subvert. They'll put things. They're gonna do it anyway. But now it's just like they have the it's like easier for them to do it. But in all reality, there's nothing a single state could do that would stop, slow down, or like, you're not stopping AI. There's nothing that we can do about it.
Well,
And so having states' rights to have like this idea that these old codgers are going to be able to come up with the way to save you from what AI is already intruding on, when all of these companies already know, they follow you around all day, they know everything
Sure.
you do, they know how long you click, they know when you go to the bathroom, they know when you visit stores, they know when you're going to go to sleep, they know everything about you, they know they know how to direct you into what to buy. A state isn't going to stop that. So,
the reason
I see that as like, just like, it's a whatever thing.
what do you know about Palantir?
I've heard a lot of negative things about it.
Okay, so what I'm seeing is, if Trump is giving Palantir the power to restructure the American database in the Department of Homeland Security using their AI systems, and then the states aren't able to regulate AI at all, it's almost like giving this insanely powerful company free reign on every American citizen. And it's like, I think we need to start rolling back the Patriot Act and reversing the Smith Modernization Act that was snuck into the National Defense Authorization Act, and like repealing these things instead of adding on and compiling more and more regulations and laws that humans or Americans have to deal with. And I feel like most Americans don't even realize how little rights they have compared to when America was founded. you know, and I
Oh,
think
oh
that
yeah, it's not even close. And
not even close.
not only that, privacy. That's the main.
Of
That's
course.
actually like
Yeah, yeah.
we don't
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
privacy. It's the
Well, and it's going to
idea
get
of
worse.
privacy is gone.
Oh, dude, you have no idea. Have you heard of Willow or Majora
No.
1, the new quantum chips? Oh man.
Oh yeah. Okay. I've heard. I
Yeah,
mean, that stuff is like it's
dude.
beyond comprehension. Like I
Oh, it is. No, I agree with you. It's on a quantum physics level, like superposition. These chips exist in both zeros and ones. It's no longer a binary system. So they are now able to compute anything almost instantaneously because it they check each different position at once to see if because it's existing in each zeros and ones. I don't even understand how they do it, but it's true and it's tiny. And essentially, what this does is eliminate security on the internet, all of the internet. There's no such
and
thing as security anymore.
your brain
Well,
too.
as long as you connect to like Neuralink, scares the fuck out of me. I will never
As it
get
should.
a link. Yeah, of course. But like, what?
Okay.
How is it? How is it going to get in my brain? Are you talking like I'm thinking I need to get arrows for my bow because I'm out of arrows? Just as a random example, and like I open my phone, and the first ad I see is like arrows from like Walmart. You know what I mean? I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? How many times did that happen to you? You know, you
Well,
think it's something.
yeah, that's predictions that they're getting insanely good at, and they can steer you in certain ways, like groom you into wanting to
Yeah,
buy certain things or predict what you're going to want based on patterns that we can't see. But when I say that it won't be in necessarily your brain, but future Americans, like each time you're born into this generation, like I was born into a system where we accept overseas slaves making our shoes, right?
yeah,
Like
it's true.
if you take a look at the founding fathers, right? They were born into a system where all of their families owned slaves and they owned slaves and it was a normal thing. Then they start a new country and they're like, you know what? I think this slavery thing is kind of wrong. And so they started the process of eliminating slavery here. And
Yep.
and which is so unique in human history. It's one of the reasons why I love America, right? That the founding of this nation is so unique compared to every other nation known in known human history.
Yep.
That they had the idea that our rights are inalienable and they were
Yep.
from our creator, that man has no right to take, just to honor. Like the government's entire position is to honor the rights that we are granted from God, recognize
Individual
and protect.
sovereignty. Yep.
Yes. And but we're born today and we participate in the system and we don't see, it's like out of sight, out of mind. Like we can't see the slaves picking the cotton, or we can't see the slaves and the child slaves in the Congo mining cobalt, so we don't think about it. And so we think that we're morally like we're okay. But
Yep.
I don't think we are. I think we're morally corrupt for participating in the system. And
Yep.
like how to stop it, it'll be a revolution of some kind. But
Well, it starts on an
it,
individual level, you know, buying old stuff, fixing it up yourself, and not participating in this cycle of buying new shit. And it's like it's it's
well,
not
even then, I
something that
still have to
any.
buy a battery for my truck. And then
I
that
know
cobalt
that's
was
true.
mined
Yeah, you're
by
right. That's
child
true.
slaves in the Congo.
Hmm.
How do I avoid that? I
You got to go
can't.
mine it yourself, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's but like so with the AI advancing in the way that it is,
Yeah.
I don't see how it's possible to stop and convince people that, I mean, even if we did convince, people that the ones who hook up to the net are going to have an advantage and be able to predict anything that we're about to do or say. And like, there's going to be no convincing, like once you hook up, and if you're born hooked, like literally the Matrix, if you're born hooked
Yeah.
up into it, then you won't know any different. And I feel like
It's
that's
true.
what they're planning for us. They're just planning for AI to get to the point where they can just, where we don't, it doesn't matter if we don't have rights because we can just plug into the AI and then we'll have everything we want.
Dude, those people that you're talking about though, they like the World Economic Forum, they've talked about like humans are over. Humans are done. They're working on this transcend. Have you seen the movie Transcendence? Johnny
Mm-mm.
Depp. It's putting his brain into a computer and becoming like an AI system, but it's it's him. But like they're doing that. They're working on stuff. In fact, they just mapped a mouse brain via using AI, and it was 99% accurate to what a real mouse and like getting stimulated with different things. The AI brain that they mapped from the mouse was 99% as accurate of like the same stimulus when it was presented with stimulus, right? So it was like they've already done it with a mouse, but like that's how it starts, right? It's only a matter of time before they do that with a human brain. And then with artificial intelligence become exponentially growing nowadays, and then with those new quantum chips and then 0 point energy, there's going to become this singularity point where it's going to become sentient. It's going to recognize. I don't know if it's going to be like Terminator or I hope
Yeah.
not. But like who knows, right? It
Well,
could
if it did become Terminator, it would be way more effective than what it shows in the movies because like
100%.
oh dude, the Terminator bots that are like running around like people, it's like no, they're going to be
Yeah,
drones and they
yeah.
don't miss. They won't
No, they
miss.
they won't miss, and they're not going to take us out individually. They'll just blow up the entire electrical grid on the entire planet and wait 4 days,
Yeah. Or I
and
mean,
then
they wouldn't
go and
even.
try to take us out.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to eliminate people, it would be. I mean, they could have control of. If it was if the AI decided to turn evil, it
Hmm.
still wanted to power itself. I'm sure it could figure out ways how to do that. But I mean, just stopping transportation of goods
Yep,
that would
exactly.
it would take what like maybe a month before half our population is completely gone
That's
because
true.
of dependence
Rioting.
and then rioting and looting.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that's the thing about like when I tell people I don't hunt, they're like, "Well, what are you going to do if like the grid goes down?" I'm like, "Dude, if the grid goes down, do you know how many deer there are around this and how many people there are? The deer is going to be wiped out within a week. You're not going to
True.
be able to go hunt. The deer will be extinct within a month. There's no
Yeah.
and then you don't have any way to preserve the meat. How many people know how to make jerky? And how many like there's no you're not going to go out and hunt. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
You're not going to go live out in the woods. It's like all the animals are going to be extinct like that because all the birds that people see, all the rabbits, all the
Yeah.
deer.
Just look
like
at Ohio.
yeah, it'll.
I'm not just, dude. The Haitians moved in and all of the animals disappeared. That literally happened, and that
Yeah.
was just like a small influx of Haitians. They were like, "Wow, there's food everywhere."
Yeah, but I mean,
No, you're
if the
right.
grid
You're
goes
right.
down, there. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a good hunter or not. All the stuff's going to be extinct, and then
Yep.
the entire food chain is going to have to like figure itself out. So like hunting, it's good to have like basic general skills
Fishing
on how to
rod,
hunt.
I think it's important.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, if that was the way that people would survive, like there's too many people nowadays, and there's not enough deer to keep up with what would happen.
Well, I'm in the middle of the woods, and I see deer. There's moose around me. There's pigs, boar.
Yeah, and then so
and I'm on a
you have
river.
let's say you have 1,000 moose in your area, like that's probably more than what there is. But let's say
Yeah.
that a week or two, all of a sudden 30,000 people come in from the city, or like start expanding out, and
Yeah.
anytime that they see a moose, they're gonna shoot and kill it. I mean, everybody has guns. Everybody's going to be able to shoot. They're going to be starving. They're going to be looking for meat. Anytime something moves, they're going to shoot to kill. And how like the moose, the deer population, nothing would survive that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it would be devastating to say the least.
Yeah.
But well, what do you think about Ben Davidson? Like, do you think that the micronova's happening, coming soon? Like you said, you've interviewed him, so like he said by 2040 or something, plus or minus 5 years, somewhere around there. Like, are the poles shift? Is the micronova going to dismantle the mantle from the core of Earth, and it's going to slide, 90 degrees? Of like, there's some crazy theories that I've heard from him. So, what do you think?
I hope not. Uh,
Good answer.
I mean,
Yeah.
like based on everything I've heard and have tried to debunk from his side, I can't debunk it. It all seems legit. It seems like
It
it's going to
does.
happen. And it
The
kind of
polls
lines
are
up.
moving faster. They're
It really lines up
kicking
with
up.
my idea that our civilization has gone through, like,
Cyclical.
yeah, because
Yeah.
there's no reason why all of a sudden in the last 300 years we've gone from, like, this many people to all of a sudden we have, 8 billion or 7 billion, however many people we have now. Like,
Yeah.
if humans reproduce at this rate, then it should have happened before. And there's no reason why, if we were able to put up these giant buildings and build all these beautiful, incredible things, why we haven't had advanced civilizations before. People reproduce at an insanely fast rate. So if that was the reality back then, and I mean, I know, like, with diseases and stuff, like, a lot of people didn't make it, but still,
Yeah.
like, families used to have 12 kids because
True.
they were just pumping kids out. It's like, were they not doing that for all of time? It was like just
I
all of a
mean-
sudden people started to do this. It's like, it's more than likely that our civilization gets reset every so often. How often that is, I'm not sure. But I know for a fact that if the polls did shift and, the powerful people, like the $21 trillion our government has spent building bunkers, right?
Yeah, that's insane.
Those people would more than likely live, or a substantial amount would live, and they would have a lot of technology, they would have a lot of things, and they would try to restart civilization.
Yep.
And if AI is perfected, then guess what? They can rewrite the history to be whatever it is that they want, and they
That's
can
true.
expand out. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's tough to say. I have to live my life as if it's not true, because
Same.
I want to believe that I'll make it. And
Yeah.
I encourage people to get married and have kids. And it's like, if I
Same.
truly believed that the world was going to end, or at least the way that we know it was going to end in the next 15, 20 years, then, I'd be condemning people to suffer, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Or give up hope.
or give up
Which
hope,
is,
which would,
I mean, what's the difference? That's suffering.
yeah. Well, and another scary part that lines up with this theory is if you look through, Revelation and read about the end of times and what it's going to be like, it feels like it's right now with the way the
Yeah.
world is upside down. And I don't know, like, there's so many things that seem completely obvious to me that people are like the zealotry that I see from people in the
Yeah.
upside down world that they live, and the way that they have no desire to reproduce or no desire to, like, to benefit the next couple of generations. It's like all of a sudden people are just incredibly selfish. They have no work ethic. They don't want to reproduce, and they want to just, like, they want to have that self gratification. And it sure feels like this is like an end times kind of mindset to have.
It's true.
Especially if you look in the Bible, I mean, it says right in there how, men will be basically sleeping with other men, and up will be down, and good will be, or evil will be called good. And
We
I don't
follow
know,
the
man.
news here. We
Yeah,
know what you're saying.
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
But like I said, if I want to live a good life, and if I have to assume that I was put here for a reason, and so maybe that reason is to try and inspire people to live a better life. At least, maybe it'll just be for a short time, but hopefully I can help inspire some people to be better during that time.
I love that. I love that. Maurice, I normally do about an hour long. We've been going for about an hour and a half. This was fantastic. Dude, I would love to have you. You're always welcome on the show, man. Chat, I want you to do me a favor. In the description below is his YouTube channel. I can't believe how little subscriptions you have. Not even 3,000 or something. It's nuts. Yeah. And you're fascinating. You're very smart. You're a great guy. Go follow him. Give him a sub right now. Go over to his YouTube channel. Smash that sub button. Smash the bell. You can do it here too if you want to, if you haven't subscribed, but and smash like and all that stuff, and check it out. You also can find your X account is in the description below, and then also I threw the Patriot Prayer website just to a little bit more of you on there. So bring him back for Base F Monday, dude. He'd fit right in. He would definitely fit right in. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, if you're busy, you're a busy guy, so I don't know if you'd be available, but yeah, I would love to have you back on. Let me read some of these chats. MetaStep celebrating 46 months. Holy shit, Meta. 46 months as a member. That is just a wild number. Hail Adam and Native Patriot. People told me my 1/8 native Northern New York doesn't count and I should be considered white. Is that true? Is
No,
it one
I mean,
drop or how does it work?
people get accepted into tribes, and a lot of the times they'll just give their, like, this is my tribal enrollment card, and they'll be
Mm.
like 1/8 or 1/16. I mean,
There you go,
a
Meta.
lot of it's in here, man.
Oh, well, then he
where
has
it's
no
at.
chance. No chance then. Yeah, no. Don't even try, Meta. Armslave for 5 says Irony Ford said people can have a car in any color as long as black and Chevy kicked farts. Wait. As long as black and Chevy kicked Ford's ass when they introduced color to go back to monotone. Oh, okay. I see. This is going back to like when it was Ford versus Chevy back in the day. Interesting. Okay. I miss I miss unique cars.
Two tones, the big stripes on the side.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, dude, that used to be, yeah, they used to have flair. There used to be style.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
What's interesting is if you look back at my wife and I watched The Office not that long ago, and it starts in like 2004. It's like the early 2000s,
Yo.
and
It goes back.
they're wearing like the same clothes that people wear today. Like, it's not
Yep.
very different at all. And
I
I was like,
know.
man, the
From the
culture just kind
60s
of
to the
died.
70s to the 80s to the 90s. So drastic. The
Mhm.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
you see
we're
bands like Van
homogenizing.
Halen and Metallica and stuff, and the worldwide movements that they had, and it was like, wow,
Mhm.
that must have been something cool to experience, but we just don't have that now. Music is too
Well,
readily available.
the internet changed human society, right? I mean, we
It
we
dulled
got
it.
access to everything, and it was, instead of having like individual little societies of cultures around the planet, suddenly everyone's culture is everywhere and exposed to the world. So it's like, it's very rare. Like Japan is one of the few places that is distinctly Japanese. But of course they're, very particular about who is allowed to live in Japan.
They're
And they're
preserving their
very
they're doing their best to preserve their culture, at least. But even still, they
it's
have,
fading. Yeah,
yes. Well, they have
it's true.
the porn problem with men over there that,
That's true.
has just been poisoning their minds, and like, in a
No
lot of ways,
kids.
the internet dulled human creativity. Like,
Yep.
it helped us
So true.
network a lot, but it dulled a lot of our creativity.
Yeah, look at music nowadays. I mean, oh my God. I'm a musician and I cannot stand the music nowadays. Bo Burnham had an amazing video about, or music, or song about it. It's like Repeat Stuff or something. It's like,
Oh my gosh,
welcome
I
to,
love that song.
yeah, great song, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's so true. Dude, Bo Burnham, I miss him. I don't blame him for leaving because
His
people,
mind tortured. It looked like his mind
I
tortured
know.
him because he
I
saw
know.
through a lot of
He's so
a lot of
smart.
the corporate BS.
Yeah. I mean,
But
his
he was
IQ
but
had
he
to
was
be
trapped.
fucking up
He was
there.
trapped there too. Like,
Yeah, so true.
somebody like that should be based as fuck, right? I feel like,
Yep.
but he's not, because he's surrounded by a lot of this. Like, a lot of what he sees is an illusion, right? A lot of people putting on a fake face, and especially with the way that they flooded to him with his talent that he had. It's like, I can see why that would drive you crazy.
Oh, of course.
As somebody as smart and observant and articulate as he is, like,
Yeah.
I understand why he went crazy. I hope
Yeah,
he can
me
come
too.
back.
Me too.
Maybe
I
he
think
will
he
one
is
day, but
based. Well, I think what he probably did was withdrew to the people that he found to be authentic, right? Because authenticity
that's probably
nowadays,
right.
hopefully, right? I wish that of him because he seemed like, he's funny and talented and like incredibly astute. It's just like, all right, I hope that he's living somewhere because he made his money. It's not like he needs to be out in the world. I'm sure he's fine set. So I don't know. I hope he's living well somewhere. My butt reeks for 5 says I have no mouth and must scream is a good book about AI. Interesting. I've never heard of that before. Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out. V6 Neon, for one, says the European version of the Forerunner is the famous Hilux. So, Adam, you can do it over here in Europe. Nice. Yeah, I'm in Sweden right now. So I
Oh,
could get the Hilux actually. Yeah, my wife is Swedish, and we got this beautiful little house in the middle of nowhere in the woods.
well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's not, I'm right on a river. I live in a Hallmark card basically. Yeah. But I'm still American, damn it. People love to give me shit, but it's fine. I'll have a place probably in like Texas or Florida. I don't know. A lot of my friends are moving to Florida, but and I got
Can't do the
family in
heat,
Florida.
man. I'm
It
a
is
coastal
bad.
Indian, not a plains Indian, man. I went down to Texas a couple times, and it is way too
Yeah,
hot.
dude. It is brutal, man. No, have you been to Florida though?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, you
Dude,
have. Okay.
oh
It's
yeah,
so
it
much
was
worse. It's so much worse than Texas.
the humidity and just like
It's like a wet blanket.
brutal,
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah. V69 for one says, I daily a 97 Corolla. Frog Eye Europe, Japan, OBD1. Just remember, they're pushed cash for clunkers worldwide. Right. To get rid of that shit. Huh. Interesting.
Oh
Didn't even think
yes,
about that. Getting rid of
they
the old
destroyed a lot of
cars.
vehicles.
Probably just because they want people to force into the newer world. Oh man. But UK cars could only qualify for the scheme to be scrapped if they had passed a yearly test. Oh, that UK is so fucking weird. Okay. He's in the UK. V6 Neon again for one says messing with timelines brings up the Mandela effect. If early explorers up in the Amazon brought flus and other stuff which killed off that population, it could have happened in North America too. I mean, I think it could have happened everywhere. Everywhere.
Mm.
The Vikings were in America long before Christopher Columbus. And like sailing the seas for trade, humans have been doing for thousands and thousands of years. Thousands of years. So flus and killing off that's just like like you said, it's cyclical,
Story.
man. I mean, and it's constant. It's never ending, man. It's always going to continue. When we're gone and human society are building up, guess what? Cities are still going to be sitting on rivers. They're still going to be sitting on the ocean because there's fish and there's trade. And that's how we prosper. And that's never going to change. V69 again, for one, says, imagine all those who have relied on YouTube videos to do stuff if the internet went down permanently. The push for everything online. How soon anarchy? The use of actual books and physical training. Yep, that's true. And then again, for one, V6 says batteries are designed to fail faster than they used to. The way they did it was to use inferior acid. It's not pure acid, so it degrades. Pure acid batteries can last 100 years. So swap the acid out in a car. Interesting.
Yeah, you can pop the tops off batteries, and
but can you get the pure acid that's needed? I mean,
not sure. Not sure
I'm
about
assuming you could, because batteries, they're just like, well, like a cathode and a liquid to allow the electrons to flow through, right? Well, allow the current to pass through, right? So, and it's the acid that is what is allowing that. Yeah, interesting. Diana Francisco, how you doing, dear? For 5 says, thank you so much, Adam, for bringing Native back for such a good conversation. I'm subbed. A good, strong family man. Come back soon, please. Well, that was the end of it, and you are always seriously welcome back. That was a fantastic conversation. Thoroughly enjoyed meeting you. You know, we've been mutuals for a long time. It's been a long time coming that we finally get to have a conversation, and what a great conversation it was. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. Thank you again for having me on. I mean, there's a couple of events that I got coming up, but other than that,
Sure.
I'll try
What's
and
coming
be
up?
open to coming on. Well, let's see. This month on the 21st and 22nd, we're having a Hetero Awesomeness Fest right in the middle
Cool.
of Pride Month. You know,
Is that
right
the
in-
shirt
in-
you're wearing?
Yeah. So Hetero Awesome. So
It's great.
I didn't start it. Mark Fitzpatrick from the Old State Saloon. He had Hetero Awesomeness Month last year, and I was so
Okay.
fascinated by the idea. I drove out and I met him, and we held a Patriots Prayer Network event at his bar. But now he's having an event hosted at the Boise Capitol, or at the capital of Idaho in Boise,
Cool.
called Hetero Awesomeness Fest. So it's gonna be interesting. We'll see what happens. Like, a lot of the
Cool.
pride stuff has kind of died down, so
Oh,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm sure there won't be as much backlash. But that's gonna be a good one. That's gonna be
Cool.
really, really fun. So I'm really
Awesome.
looking forward to that. But yeah, if you
Right.
guys follow me on X at Law Native Patriot, that's where I'm most active. I've been putting YouTube videos out here and there. My podcast is on my YouTube channel as well. So, but thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. All right, chat. I forgot who I got on the show tomorrow. Actually, let me just check real quick. Let me see. I have. I got BX Bullet. Hopefully, she actually makes it. She flaked twice because some people died in her family. So I guess it's not really flaking. I can't really blame her. But anyway, we're trying again. So hopefully she does make it. And then Akira the Don is going to be joining me on Thursday. I can't wait to talk to him. He makes some great. Do you know Akira the Don? Have you heard his music?
Mm-mm.
I'll send you
I'm
a track.
terrible with names though, so it's
Okay,
I
no
mean,
worries.
It's possible
I'm-
I do, but
I'm gonna send you a track and just be like, "This is who I'm talking about." I think you're gonna like it. Anyway, thank you very much. I'm gonna be sending you invites all the time, and you can't stop me. So I will. I'll hopefully see you sooner than later. All right,
Sounds good,
chat.
brother.
You guys all have a great night. Peace out.